told him, "Are you a good Muslim?" He says, "I try to be. Do you know if you're going to heaven?" He says, "Yeah, I probably will." And I said, "Well, in the Quran, it says that Muhammad doesn't know whether on the day of judgment whether he's going to heaven or not." So I went ahead, and he told me that I wasn't telling the truth. I went ahead, pulled my Quran out, and he was with his son, so I was respectful. I went ahead and showed it to him. So I said, "Can you talk to me when you come out?" And so then he had left, and so when they got done with prayer, I just happened to come over here. I walked across the street. He was there, so we renewed our dialogue, and just basically, he told me I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't speak Arabic, and I said that you read it there in Arabic, and so he says, "Well, Muhammad's just talking about here on earth. You know, Muhammad was talking about maybe if you get a cold, he doesn't know if he's going to get a cold or break an arm or anything." I said, "Did it say that in Arabic any place about breaking an arm or getting a cold or anything?" I says, "No, Muhammad didn't know." So then I said, "It's in the Hadith," and I just happened to have my Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith.
Oh, you had it where it talks about that?
I pulled it out, and then he didn't want to see it, and then he started questioning me on the grades of the Hadith, and I said, "Well."
Annoying Muslims seems to be one of the hobbies of David Wood, Sam Shamoon, and Anthony Rogers. Now they're literally harassing Muslims at mosque, etc., etc. So basically, when you see people like, when you see Christians at mosque, it's never a good thing because they're trying to cause drama and controversy when in reality, you should just ignore them because you're just wasting your time talking to them. But anyways, this black Christian, I think he's black, but anyways, this black Christian is basically saying that the Prophet, he's basically making two points, which I'll be refuting real quickly. He's saying that the Prophet Muhammad doesn't know whether he's going to heaven, and two, that Muslims don't, or two, that in the Hadith, Prophet Muhammad didn't know he was going to heaven. And the third minor point he brings up is that he indirectly brings up is that Muslims don't know if they're going to heaven or not. So let's go to the first part. I know that Quranic verse he's talking about. He's basically talking about the Quran, chapter 46, verse 9, where the Prophet Muhammad is ordered to say to the people, "Nor do I know what will be done with me or with you." In the Hadith he's talking about is Sahih Bukhari, volume 5, book 58, Hadith number 266, where he says, "By Allah, though I'm the apostle of Allah, yet I do not know what Allah will do to me." So basically, there's the response is, if we read Ibn Hajar Asqalani, Ibn Hajar was a important Muslim scholar in the second generation. He basically says that this Quranic statement and this Quranic verse and statement of the Prophet Muhammad found in Sahih Bukhari came before the Prophet Muhammad knew he was going to paradise. So we find this in Ibn Hajar Asqalani, Fath al-Buri, Hadith number 1166. And if we read Tafsir al-Tabari in the Quran chapter, al-Tabari's Tafsir in the Quran chapter 46 verse 9, it says that, he says that, "Nor do I know what will be done with me or you." Then he, the Prophet Muhammad, knew from Allah that what he would do with them. For Allah has said, "Verily, we have given you, O Muhammad, a manifest victory, that Allah may forgive you of your sins of the past and the future." Quran chapter 48, verse 1 to 2. So basically, Prophet Muhammad was forgiven of his sins of the past and of the future in the Quran chapter 48, verse 1 to 2. So basically, and if we read Tafsir Ibn Kathir, and this is the important part, according to Tafsir Ibn Kathir on the Quran chapter 46 verse 9, he says, "As for the hereafter, I seek refuge in Allah," and he, the Prophet Muhammad, knew he was going to paradise. So the Prophet, according to Tafsir Ibn Kathir's commentary on the Quran chapter 46 verse 9, and Ibn Kathir was an important commentator, one of the major Sunni commentators on the Quran. He says the Prophet Muhammad knew he was going to paradise. So basically, as for the Hadith, the Prophet Muhammad knew he was going to paradise in two places in the Hadith. Prophet Muhammad said in Musnad Ahmed Hadith number 12,013, I am the master of the people on the day of judgment, and I say this with no pride, and I am the first one to enter paradise on the day of judgment, and I say this with no pride. In Musnad Ahmed Hadith number 12013. Prophet Muhammad also said in a authentic hadith, I will come to the gate of paradise on the day of resurrection and would seek its opening, and the keeper would say, who art thou? I would say, Muhammad. Then he would say, it is thee that I have been ordered, and not to open it for anyone before thee. Sahih Muslim, Book 1, Hadith number 384. 384. So basically, the Prophet Muhammad knew he was going to paradise. As reported in the Hadith. What about Muslims? Are Muslims guaranteed paradise? Yes, they are. We read in the Quran chapter 9 verse 70. We read in the Quran chapter 9 verse 72. Allah has promised the believers who are Muslims, men and women, so both Muslim men and Muslim women, gardens under which rivers flow to dwell therein forever, in beautiful mansions in gardens of paradise. But the greatest bliss is the good pleasure of Allah. That is the supreme success. So basically, God, or the God of Islam, which is Allah, has promised the believers, which are Muslims, men and women, gardens under which rivers flow to dwell therein forever. So Muslims are guaranteed paradise or salvation as long as they remain believers in the Quran chapter 9 verse 72. And the Muslims are also guaranteed protection from the hellfire according to the Hadith. So basically, this claim that Muslims and the Prophet Muhammad and Muslims weren't guaranteed salvation is false. We read in Sahih Bukhari, Volume 1, Book 3, Hadith number 130, whoever testifies that there is none who, the Prophet Muhammad said, there is none who testifies sincerely that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and Muhammad is his apostle, that Allah will save him from hellfire. So basically, as long as Muslims sincerely believe that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah, or any Muslim who sincerely believes that there is no God but God and worships God and believes that Muhammad is the prophet of God, they are saved from the fires of hell. So this refutes that Christians' nonsense that Prophet Muhammad wasn't guaranteed salvation and Muslims aren't guaranteed heaven, because Prophet Muhammad said he's going to heaven, and Muslims, and the Quran and the Hadith say that Muslims, as long as they remain believers, are going to heaven. Another thing is, if we read the Quran, chapter 108, this is what it says. If we read the Quran 108, the Quran chapter 108 verse 1, it says, "Truly we have bestowed upon good upon thee." Basically the Kauthar means much or abundant in Arabic, and we read according to Tafsir Ibn Kathirs commentary on this. It is said that, but the people claim that it is a river in heaven. Sa'ad said, the river in the garden in heaven is part of the good that God has bestowed upon his messenger. The Quran chapter 108 verse 1. So basically, the Prophet Muhammad was guaranteed a river in paradise or in heaven. So if the Prophet Muhammad is guaranteed a river in heaven, that means the Prophet Muhammad is guaranteed salvation, or he's guaranteed to go to heaven in the afterlife, according to the Quran chapter 108 verse 1, because God gave him a river in heaven. If God gave the Prophet Muhammad a river in heaven, that means the Prophet Muhammad will end up in heaven in the afterlife. So basically, Prophet Muhammad and Muslims are guaranteed salvation. Stay tuned, the final videos are coming up.